What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review here in 2022. Today we are taking a look at the Mandalorians N-1 Starfighter. This is set number 75325, recommended for ages 9 and up, comes with 412 pieces, and will be releasing on June 1st for $59.99 here in the US. Now this is still available for pre-order when I'm filming this video. It should be at least for a couple of weeks, so I'll leave a link down below in the description. It's not affiliated, but if you guys want to go ahead and pre-order it, you certainly can. I want to give a huge thanks to LEGO for sending over a free review copy today. Of course, all opinions will be my own. Now, the N-1 Starfighter we first saw in episode 1 of the Phantom Menace, but the Mandalorian / Book of Boba season 1 took a pretty unique twist on the N-1 and sort of made it like a retro, more like nitty-gritty style N-1, which was pretty cool. So this is obviously going to be very different from what we're used to seeing with the N-1 in terms of the color scheme and everything like that. Let's go ahead and talk about the box here. On the very front, you have, of course, the box art of the N-1 Starfighter and all the information about the set. In the background, it looks like that's going to be Mos Espa, so it obviously is taking place on Tatooine. You also have 4 minifigures included here. We have the Mandalorian, Grogu, Peli Motto, and for the first time ever, a BD droid, which is kind of cool. I think we first saw the BD droid in Jedi Fallen Order, and now we're getting it from the show, which is pretty cool. And then on the back of the box here, you have some more features of the set. You have the different play functions and just different angles and shots like that of the Mandalorian N-1 Starfighter. Now, before we get into the build, I gotta say, I was actually pretty excited for this when I first saw it in the TV show. One of the very few redeeming qualities of Book of Boba, in my opinion, was the N-1 Starfighter. It just looks super cool, and I like it being Mando ship now. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this guy on open. We're going to jump to a time lapse, and then we'll go ahead and continue on with our review today. Alright, so after about maybe 30 minutes or so of building, here we have the final N-1 Starfighter, and first initial thoughts is this thing is a lot bigger than I was expecting. I was definitely expecting something that was a little bit too big for minifigure scale, but this thing is huge, like very, very long. So first things though, I do want to talk about the minifigures. So let's talk about Baby Yoda. Really standard Baby Yoda. We've seen him a couple of times. There's nothing new about Baby Yoda, but it's nice to get another one of his minifigures. And then also the same as always is the Mando minifigure. However, this time is a little different. We finally have a face print for Din Djarin, which looks really, really good. It looks super accurate. You have like the sort of thinly shaved face details, including like the mustache and stuff. Facial features look pretty good. There is no hairpiece, at least that I saw in the set, but at least we finally have a face print for Din Djarin, which is super cool. And then just his general minifigure is the same exact one we've gotten in the past. Arm printing, leg printing, comes with the jetpack and the chrome helmet. Overall, a pretty solid minifigure, but now we have head printing, which is super cool. And then for the first time ever, we have a Peli Motto minifigure. This is not a character I had a particular affinity for from the series, but she does look super cool. She has a brown hairpiece, and she also does come with a two-sided face. One is a little bit more of a closed mouth smile, and the other one is a little bit more of an opened mouth smile. She does have some pretty good details. She also does come with a molded utility belt, which goes right above her legs, which looks super nice. She does come with a wrench, and then in terms of details on her torso, she does have printing on the front and the back. However, there is no leg printing or arm printing for Peli Motto. Overall, a solid minifigure. It looks pretty accurate to the TV show. And then last but not least, the one I was most excited for, here we finally have a BD-1 droid mold. Now, again, we first saw this in Jedi Fallen Order with Cal Kestis, and then we also saw it again in the Book of Boba Fett. This thing looks absolutely amazing. It's scaled pretty much perfectly, and the details are insane. It does fit on a 1x1 stud base, so you could lock it into a stud if you wanted to. Some pretty beautiful details and fine printing here, especially on like the elbows and sort of shoulder joints of the BD-1. There is also a stud area on the back of the BD-1, and then you could also see just the details included on the headpiece, which looks really, really nice. So overall, minifigure lineup is pretty solid. Essentially 4 different minifigures, 2 of which are brand new, 1 of which has a brand new head print, so overall a pretty good thumbs up. So now let's talk about the N-1 Starfighter. And this is actually a display stand that I have from iDisplay. This does not come in the set, it's not included, but I figured it gave us a pretty good idea and a pretty good presentation of the N-1. So first off, like I said, this thing is huge. The N-1 Starfighter is definitely, if you were to scale it, probably about 2/3 of this size. It is a pretty big scale model. So for those of you who are looking for something to use in mocks or maybe even stop motions, it might be a little bit tough, but the end result is still pretty cool. So let's go ahead and talk about it. One of my favorite things, obviously, is just the sheer color scheme. I love the grays color schemes of pretty much anything in Star Wars, so this automatically gets a pretty good thumbs up for me. Some pretty cool details on the engines as well. You can see here on either side of the N1 there are 2 engines, and both of them look pretty gutted. They're not the super clean, you know, professional look that we saw in the N1 from Phantom Menace. Definitely are opened, modified, and stuff like that. Looks like a classic American muscle car, sort of, if the N1 and a muscle car sort of combine. So details are pretty nice on the back of the engines. You have some transparent pieces to simulate the afterburners of the engines themselves, and you can see here all the details within the engines. Looks pretty solid. Now the entire front area of the N1 is comprised of one basically long plate, and then you use a different variety of wedge plates to give it that triangular shape on the front of the N1, which looks really good. As you move towards the middle of the N1, you see here a variety of slopes, and then the middle engine piece to represent that main compartment that we saw in the show as well. Now, one of the highlights of the set, of course, are the 2 cockpit areas. One of them is going to be for Mando. He fits really comfortably inside the cockpit, which is nice. And there also is a pretty different heads-up display that we're not used to seeing. It's a round 2x2 tile with a sticker, but it looks pretty good, so I like the difference in that. And there also is a compartment for Baby Yoda right behind the Mando's cockpit area, and both of them, of course, fit pretty well, and you can recreate some pretty iconic scenes from the TV show.
Hey guys, voiceover Matt here. One thing I forgot to mention in my review is that Mando actually needs to have his jetpack removed to sit in the cockpit. This is an issue we've seen with multiple starships in the past from LEGO. It's a shame that there wasn't enough room to accommodate it, but just thought I'd throw that in there so you guys know.
And then as you go towards the back of the N1 here, it sort of skinnies out, and it uses a bunch of different pole pieces and a couple of different unique elements as well. It looks like a sort of mesh wiring on the back of it, which again looks pretty nice. And then all throughout you have a different variety of slopes to give it that signature curve of the N1. Now moving towards the bottom here, nothing too crazy to talk about. There really is no detail on the bottom of the Starfighter. There is a missile shooter on the very front here, which if you want to go ahead and use that, you certainly can. The only complaint I have about the N1 Starfighter is this engine piece right here. It's not connected by anything other than a 2x2 base. So when I was assembling the N1 Starfighter, the back engine came off like twice when I was putting on some different pieces towards the back end of the Starfighter. It wasn't a big deal. It's super easy to put back on, but again, it just was a mildly frustrating thing. So just keep in mind when you are working on the back parts of the N1 Starfighter, that engine piece on the bottom might fall off. It is a little bit susceptible. I forgot to mention for the missile shooter, all you have to do is push down on the middle engine right here, and it kind of gets shot, which is a nice play feature. So overall thoughts on the N1 Starfighter, honestly, this is a pretty solid set. And like I said, if you're a mock builder or anyone who really relies on a true to scale, minifigure scale vehicle, this is definitely going to be something you might want to pass up on or something you might want to modify. But in terms of how it looks after it's built, it looks great. It has a great swoosh ability to it. Obviously, it's a very solid set. And again, I love the different take on the N1. The N1 is definitely one of my favorite vehicles in Star Wars. It just looks so clean in the Phantom Menace, and seeing a different version of it is super cool, and I appreciate the creativity and the uniqueness of this one. And in terms of the accuracy to source material, LEGO definitely did a fantastic job at creating a pretty good play set for those of you who are looking for it. So that is going to wrap up my review of the Mandalorians N-1 Starfighter. Again, this comes out on June 1st for $59.99 here in the US. Let me know down below in the comments, is this going to be a day one pickup for you? And I think it also says a lot for me that I did not like Book of Boba essentially at all, but this set's still pretty cool and definitely one of my favorite releases of the year so far. So let me know down below in the comments, guys. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Stay tuned for more reviews coming up very soon for the upcoming summer wave of Star Wars, and I'll see you later. Take it easy. Peace.